I arrived at my brother's house 30 minutes early, which was unusual for me. Normally, I timed these family gatherings down to the minute, showing up exactly when expected and leaving as soon as politeness allowed. But today felt different. Today, I wanted to be early. I had news to share, good news for once, and I thought maybe, just maybe, my family would be happy for me. The drive from downtown Phoenix to Clayton's house in the suburbs took 45 minutes through afternoon traffic. I had left my apartment at 3:30, knowing the barbecue started at 5. I wanted time to help set up, to be useful, to show them I cared about being part of this family despite everything. Clayton's house sat at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, a sprawling ranch-style home with a perfectly manicured lawn. His success in commercial real estate development had afforded him this life, and he never let anyone forget it. I pulled into the circular driveway at 4:25, noting that several cars were already there. My sister Victoria's white sedan, my cousin Julian's truck, a few others I recognized as belonging to various family members. I grabbed the potato salad I had made from the passenger seat and walked toward the front door. The house was unlocked, as it always was during family events. Clayton believed in open doors for family, even if his heart remained firmly closed to most of us. The foyer was empty and quiet. I could hear voices coming from somewhere in the back of the house. The patio, probably. I set the potato salad on the kitchen counter, next to trays of meat waiting to be grilled and bowls of chips already open. Through the kitchen window, I could see the backyard setup. Tables with red checkered cloths, a smoking grill, people milling around with beers in hand. I was about to head outside when I heard my name. "Bella should be here soon," Clayton said, his voice carrying through the open sliding glass door. She texted that she was coming early to help. I paused, my hand on the door handle. Something in his tone made me hesitate. "Oh, good," Victoria replied, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I cannot wait to hear all about her glamorous new life." Laughter rippled through the group. I recognized the voices. My Aunt Patricia, my Uncle Leonard, Julian, and a few others. My entire family, gathered and apparently discussing me. "You know she is only coming to brag about her new job," Clayton continued. "Director of marketing at some boutique hotel chain. She probably expects us all to bow down and worship her success." More laughter, louder this time. "Remember when she worked at that coffee shop?" Victoria said. "And before that, the retail store? Now suddenly she thinks she is better than all of us." "She always did have delusions of grandeur," Patricia added. "Even as a child, she thought she was special." My hand fell away from the door handle. I stood frozen in the kitchen, listening to my family tear me apart. "It would be nice if there was an accident and she never showed up," Victoria said, her voice light and joking, as if she were discussing the weather. "Then we could actually enjoy ourselves without her constant need for attention and validation." The group erupted in laughter. Real, genuine laughter. Not nervous chuckles or polite giggles, but full-throated amusement at the idea of me being hurt or dead. I backed away from the door slowly, carefully, making sure my footsteps did not give me away. My heart pounded so hard, I thought they might hear it through the walls. My hands shook as I grabbed my purse from where I had set it on the counter. 35 years old, and my family still treated me like I was nothing. Like I was a joke. Like I was an inconvenience they wished would disappear. I left the potato salad on the counter. Let them wonder where it came from. Let them think I had never arrived. I walked back through the house, opened the front door as quietly as possible, and slipped outside. My car was still parked in the driveway, so I walked down the street instead, not wanting them to hear the engine start. 2 blocks away, I stopped and leaned against a tree, trying to catch my breath. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I had cried over my family too many times before. I had spent decades trying to earn their love, their respect, their basic human decency. And now I knew the truth. They did not just dismiss me. They actively wished harm upon me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Clayton. "Where are you? Thought you were coming early?" I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I opened my contacts and scrolled until I found the name I needed. Denise had been my best friend since college. She was the only person who truly understood what my family was like, who had witnessed their casual cruelty over the years and urged me repeatedly to cut them out of my life entirely. I called her. "Hey," she answered on the second ring. "Are you not supposed to be at the barbecue?" "I need your help," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "And I need you to trust me." Denise met me at a coffee shop 3 miles from Clayton's house. I sat in a corner booth, my hands wrapped around a cup of tea I had no intention of drinking, staring out the window at the parking lot. She slid into the seat across from me, concern etched across her face. "What happened? You sounded upset on the phone." I told her everything, every word I had overheard, every laugh, every cruel joke at my expense. By the time I finished, her expression had shifted from concern to fury. "I am going to kill them," she said flatly. "I am going to drive to that house right now and tell every single one of them exactly what I think." "No," I said. "I have a better idea." I explained my plan. It was simple, maybe even cruel, but I needed them to understand. I needed them to feel, even for a moment, what it was like to genuinely care about me, to worry about me, to regret their words. Denise listened, her eyes growing wider with each detail. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "You are sure about this?" she asked finally. "They wished I would be in an accident," I said, "so let us show them what that feels like." She nodded slowly. "Okay, I am in. What do you need me to do?" "Call Victoria in 20 minutes, I said, checking the time on my phone. It was 4:50 now. The barbecue had officially started. "Pretend to be a nurse from Phoenix General Hospital. Tell her that I have been in a serious car accident and that I am in critical condition. Be vague about the details, but make it sound urgent. Tell her she needs to come immediately. And then what?" "And then we see how they react," I said. "We see if they actually care, or if they show up just to maintain appearances." Denise pulled out her phone, already pulling up Victoria's number. "I can block my caller ID. Make it look like it is coming from the hospital." "You have done this before?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "I worked in a hospital for 3 years during grad school," she said. "I know exactly how they talk, how they deliver bad news. I can make this convincing." We spent the next 15 minutes going over the details. What to say, how to say it, what information to give, and what to withhold. Denise had a naturally authoritative voice, perfect for this kind of call. She practiced a few times, adjusting her tone until it sounded appropriately serious and professional. At 5:10, she made the call. I watched her face as she spoke, her expression neutral and focused. "Hello? Is this Victoria? This is Nurse Jessica calling from Phoenix General Hospital Emergency Department. I'm calling regarding your sister, Bella. She was brought in about 40 minutes ago following a serious motor vehicle accident on Interstate 10. She paused, listening. Her condition is critical. She sustained significant head trauma and internal injuries. We need family members here as soon as possible. Can you come to the hospital right away?" Another pause. I cannot give specific details over the phone, but I need to emphasize that time is of the essence. Please come to the main emergency entrance. Ask for Trauma Bay 3. She ended the call and looked at me. Done. She is freaking out. I could hear people in the background. She is probably already telling everyone. I nodded, a strange calm settling over me. Now we wait. We left the coffee shop and drove separately to a parking garage across the street from Phoenix General Hospital. From the 3rd level, we had a clear view of the emergency entrance. I parked my car and joined Denise in hers, settling into the passenger seat with a pair of binoculars I kept in my trunk for hiking trips. "You really thought this through," Denise said, impressed. "I have had years to think about how much they hurt me," I replied. "I just never had a reason to do anything about it until today." My phone started ringing at 5:25. "Clayton." I declined the call. It rang again immediately. "Victoria this time." I declined that one too. Text messages started flooding in. "Clayton. Where are you? Hospital called. Are you okay? Victoria. Please call me. We are on our way. Please be okay. Julian. Everyone is worried. Call someone. Let us know you are alive. Patricia. This is not funny if this is some kind of joke." I read each message aloud to Denise, who shook her head in disbelief. "Patricia really went there, huh? Even now, she thinks you might be faking." "Of course she does," I said. "Because I am always the problem, remember?" At 5:40, the first car pulled up to the emergency entrance. Clayton's SUV. He jumped out, leaving the engine running, and sprinted toward the doors. Victoria emerged from the passenger side, her face pale and drawn. 2 more cars pulled up behind them, disgorging Julian, Patricia, Leonard, and several others. They all rushed inside together, a frantic mass of worried family members. "Now what?" Denise asked. "Now we see how long it takes them to realize I am not here," I said. "And we see what they do next." We waited. 15 minutes passed. 20. My phone continued to ring and buzz with messages. At 6 p.m., Clayton emerged from the hospital alone, his phone pressed to his ear. Even from this distance, I could see the confusion on his face. "He is calling you," Denise said. I answered this time, putting it on speaker so Denise could hear. "Bella?" Clayton's voice was frantic. "Where are you? The hospital says there is no record of you being admitted, no accident victim matching your description. What is going on?" "I am fine," I said calmly. "Perfectly fine, actually." Silence on the other end. "What do you mean you are fine?" "We got a call from the hospital. They said you were in critical condition." "Did they?" I asked innocently. "That is strange, because I have been sitting in a parking garage across the street watching all of you panic for the last half hour." More silence. Then, "You did this on purpose? You made us think you were dying?" "I heard what you said," I told him, my voice quiet but firm. "What are you talking about?" Clayton asked, but his voice had changed. The panic was gone, replaced by something else. Wariness, maybe. Or guilt. "I arrived early," I said. "At 4:25, just like I planned. I walked into your house, put my potato salad on the counter, and heard every single word you said about me in the backyard." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long I thought he had hung up. "Bella, listen." "No, you listen," I interrupted. "I heard you say I was only coming to brag. I heard Victoria say it would be nice if there was an accident and I never showed up. I heard everyone laugh. Everyone, Clayton. Our entire family thought it was hilarious to joke about me dying. It was just a joke," he said weakly. "We did not mean anything by it." "Just a joke," I repeated. "The way it has always been just a joke when you mock my career, my choices, my life. The way it is just family banter when Patricia calls me delusional, or when Victoria tells me I have an inflated sense of self-worth. Just jokes. Just fun. Never mind that it hurts. Never mind that I am a real person with real feelings." "You are being overdramatic," he said. And there it was. The dismissiveness I had dealt with my entire life. "So we made a few jokes. That does not justify this. You made us all panic. Victoria was crying. Patricia almost fainted. We thought you were dead." "Good," I said simply. "Now you know how it feels to actually care about me for 5 minutes, although I suspect most of you were more worried about how it would look than about me actually being hurt." "That is not fair." "Is it not? Tell me, Clayton. When was the last time you called me just to see how I was doing? When was the last time any of you treated me like I mattered? He had no answer for that. Victoria's voice came through in the background, shrill and angry. Give me the phone. There was a scuffling sound. Then Victoria was on the line. What is wrong with you? Do you have any idea what you have put us through? This is sick, Bella. This is beyond sick. You wished I would be in an accident, I reminded her. You said it would be nice if I never showed up. Everyone laughed. I did not mean it literally. It was hyperbole. God, you always take everything so seriously. This is exactly why we cannot stand having you around. You turn everything into a drama. I turn everything into drama? I asked, genuinely incredulous. Victoria, you literally just spent 40 minutes at a hospital emergency room believing I was dying. That is drama. What I am doing right now is called a lesson. A lesson? She spat. You are delusional. You need help. Professional help. Maybe, I agreed. Or maybe I just need a family that does not treat me like garbage. I could hear other voices now. People gathering around the phone. Julian saying something about overreaction. Patricia calling me immature. Leonard saying this was typical of me, always seeking attention. I want all of you to understand something, I said, speaking over their chatter. I came to that barbecue today with good news. I was excited to share it with you. I thought, maybe this time, maybe they will be happy for me. Maybe they will see that I have worked hard and achieved something worth celebrating. We would have been happy for you, Clayton said, back on the phone now, if you had just shown up like a normal person instead of pulling this stunt. Would you have? I challenged. Or would you have smiled to my face and mocked me behind my back like you always do? Like you were already doing before I even arrived? No answer. I have a new job, I continued. Director of Marketing for Sunset Hospitality Group. 6 properties across the Southwest. $130,000 salary. Full benefits. A team of 12 people reporting to me. It is the biggest opportunity of my career, and I was proud of it. I wanted to celebrate with my family. Congratulations, Victoria said flatly. Happy now? Can we all go home? You still do not get it, I said softly. None of you do. This was never about the job or the celebration or even the cruel things you said. This was about showing you, for once in your lives, what it feels like to care about me, to worry about me, to feel actual human emotion directed at me that is not contempt or mockery. We care about you, Clayton protested. We are family. No, I said. Family does not wish death on each other, even as a joke. Family does not mock each other's accomplishments. Family does not make someone feel so worthless that they would rather disappear than spend another minute in their presence. So what now? Victoria asked. You want an apology? Fine. I am sorry. We are all sorry. Can we move on? No, I said again. We cannot move on, because I am done. I am done pretending that this is normal or acceptable. I am done making excuses for all of you. I am done hoping that someday you will magically start treating me with basic respect and kindness. You are cutting us off? Clayton asked, disbelief in his voice. Over this? Over a lifetime of this, I corrected. Today was just the final straw. The moment I realized that I will never be anything but a joke to all of you. A punching bag. Someone to belittle so you can all feel better about yourselves. I could hear Patricia saying something about me being ungrateful, about everything they had done for me over the years, the birthday parties they had invited me to, the holidays I had been included in. As if basic inclusion was some kind of gift they had bestowed upon me out of generosity. I have to go, I said, cutting off whatever Clayton was about to say. I have a potato salad on your counter that cost me $20 to make. You can keep it. Consider it my final contribution to this family. Bella, wait. I hung up, turned off my phone completely, sat back in the passenger seat of Denise's car and let out a long, shaky breath. Holy hell, Denise said after a moment. That was intense. That was necessary, I replied. We watched as my family slowly trickled out of the hospital, confused and angry, gathering in the parking lot to presumably discuss what had just happened. Clayton was gesturing wildly, his face red. Victoria had her arms crossed, shaking her head. Patricia looked like she was lecturing someone, probably Julian based on his defensive posture. They all looked upset, frustrated, inconvenienced, but not a single one of them looked remorseful. They really do not get it, do they? Denise observed. No, I agreed. They do not. But I do. And that is what matters. The next morning, I woke up to discover that my phone had exploded with notifications overnight. Despite having turned it off, I made the mistake of powering it back on at 7 a.m. while making coffee in my downtown Phoenix apartment. 63 missed calls, over 100 text messages, 17 voicemails. I scrolled through them while my coffee brewed, feeling a strange detachment as I read the progression of messages. The first few, sent immediately after our phone call yesterday, were angry. Clayton calling me immature and manipulative. Victoria saying I had crossed a line. Patricia demanding I apologize to everyone for the distress I had caused. But then, around 9 p.m. last night, the tone shifted. Julian. Hey, I talked to Clayton about what you overheard. That was messed up. I am sorry. An aunt I barely knew. I did not participate in those jokes. I want you to know that. A cousin I had not spoken to in years. Heard about what happened. Family can be toxic sometimes. Do what you need to do for yourself. And then, at midnight, a long text from Clayton. I have been thinking about what you said. Maybe we have not been fair to you. Maybe we have taken you for granted. Can we talk? Really talk, not just argue? I sipped my coffee and read the message 3 times. Part of me wanted to believe it. Wanted to think that maybe finally something had gotten through to them. But I had been down this road before. The apologies that came too easily, that vanished as soon as the drama died down. The promises to do better that lasted exactly as long as it took for them to forget why they had made them. I did not respond to any of the messages. Instead, I got ready for work, putting on my favorite navy blazer and the pearl earrings I had bought myself when I got the promotion. Today was my second week at Sunset Hospitality Group, and I was presenting a comprehensive marketing strategy to the executive team at 10 a.m. I needed to focus on that, not on family drama. The presentation went flawlessly. Our chief executive officer, a sharp woman in her 50s named Kathleen, nodded approvingly as I walked through the digital campaign strategy I had developed. The other executives asked thoughtful questions, and I had solid answers for all of them. By the time we finished at 11:30, Kathleen had approved my entire budget and timeline. Excellent work, she said as everyone filed out of the conference room. I knew we made the right choice hiring you. I floated back to my office on the 3rd floor, high on professional validation. This was what mattered. This was real. Not the opinions of people who had never believed in me anyway, but the recognition of colleagues who evaluated me based on merit and results. My assistant, a cheerful 24-year-old named Tyler, knocked on my doorframe around 1 p.m. Someone is here to see you. Your brother? He does not have an appointment, but he says it is important. My good mood evaporated instantly. Clayton is here? That is what he said. Should I tell him you are busy? I considered it. Part of me wanted to hide in my office until he left. But another part, the part that had orchestrated yesterday's hospital drama, wanted to face this head-on. To see what he really wanted. Give me 5 minutes, then send him in, I said. Tyler nodded and disappeared. I used those 5 minutes to compose myself, to remember that I was not the same person who had arrived at that barbecue yesterday hoping for acceptance. I was someone who had drawn a line, someone who refused to be diminished anymore. Clayton appeared in my doorway exactly 5 minutes later, looking uncomfortable in jeans and a polo shirt among the business casual office environment. His eyes took in my space. The corner office with windows overlooking downtown, the framed marketing awards on my wall, the view of the city spreading out behind me. "Nice office," he said, and I could not tell if he meant it or if it was another veiled criticism. "Thank you," I replied coolly. "What are you doing here, Clayton?" He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "We need to talk. Really talk." "I am at work," I pointed out. "I have meetings all afternoon. Whatever you need to say could have been a phone call. You were not answering your phone. Because I did not want to talk to you." He flinched at that, which surprised me. Clayton rarely showed vulnerability. "Bella, come on. I drove all the way downtown. Just give me 10 minutes. I glanced at the clock on my computer. 1:15. My next meeting was at 2. "Fine. 10 minutes. He sat down in one of the chairs across from my desk, running a hand through his hair. He looked tired, I realized. Older than his 42 years. "I talked to everyone last night, after we all left the hospital. Really talked to them about how we treat you. And some people were defensive, Patricia especially. She thinks you overreacted, that you are too sensitive, all the usual stuff." He paused, but Julian pointed something out. He said that if we really thought your feelings did not matter, we would not have all rushed to the hospital. We would not have panicked like we did. "So you do care about me, you just do not like me," I said. "That is supposed to make me feel better?" "That is not what I am saying." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "What I am saying is that we do care. We just suck at showing it. We have gotten into this pattern of treating you like you are still that annoying little sister who followed us around and demanded attention. But you are not that person anymore. You have not been for a long time." "I was never that person," I said quietly. "That is who you decided I was because it made it easier to dismiss me." He absorbed that, nodding slowly. "Maybe you are right. Maybe we created this version of you in our heads that justified treating you like we did. I do not know. What I do know is that yesterday scared the hell out of me. When I thought you were actually hurt, actually dying, all I could think about was the last conversation I had with you, which was 3 months ago, at Mom's birthday dinner, where I made some joke about your dating life that made you leave early. I remembered that dinner. He had asked loudly, in front of everyone, if I was ever going to settle down, or if I was going to be single forever. When I said I was happy with my life as it was, he had laughed and said I was just making excuses. I had left before dessert was served. I do not want that to be my last memory of you," Clayton continued. "So what do you want?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. I refused to make this easy for him. Clayton shifted in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. "I want us to start over, not pretend like nothing happened, but actually try to build something different, something better." "Start over how?" "Family dinners, just talking, getting to know each other as adults instead of stuck in these roles we have been playing since childhood." He gestured around my office. "I did not even know you had this job until yesterday. I did not know what company you worked for, what you did all day, any of it. That is messed up, Bella. That is not how family should be." "Family also should not joke about each other dying," I pointed out. "You are right. It should not. And I am sorry. Not just sorry that you overheard it, but sorry that we said it in the first place. That we have created an environment where that kind of talk seemed acceptable." He met my eyes. "I am genuinely sorry." I wanted to believe him. The desperate, needy part of me that had spent 35 years seeking their approval wanted to grab onto this apology and hold it tight. But the rational part, the part that had listened to them laugh about my potential death, remained skeptical. "What about Victoria?" I asked. "What about Patricia?" Are they sorry too? Or are you here trying to smooth things over so the family can go back to normal? Victoria is conflicted, he admitted. She thinks what you did yesterday was wrong, but she also understands why you did it. Patricia, honestly, is still angry. She thinks you manipulated us and that we should not reward that behavior by apologizing. Reward, I repeated, tasting the bitterness of the word. As if basic respect is some kind of prize I need to earn. I know how it sounds, but Patricia is stuck in her ways. She is not going to change overnight. Then why should I come back? I asked bluntly. If half the family still thinks I am the problem, if nothing is actually going to be different, then what is the point? Clayton was quiet for a long moment. Maybe there is not a point. Maybe we have damaged this beyond repair. But I need to try. I need to know that I at least tried to fix this before walking away. You are not the one walking away, I said. I am. I already did. Then let me walk toward you instead, he said. Let me show you that I am serious about this. How? He pulled out his phone, scrolled for a moment, then turned it toward me. On the screen was a group text thread titled Family Discussion. I could see dozens of messages, too many to read from this distance, but I caught phrases like, need to do better, and she deserves an apology, and we have been awful. This started last night and has been going on all morning, Clayton explained. People taking sides, arguing about what happened, some defending you, some defending the family. It is a mess. But at least we are finally talking about it openly, instead of pretending everything is fine. I did not reach for the phone. What side are you on? Yours, he said without hesitation. I am on your side. Maybe I have not been before, but I am now. Why? I asked, genuinely curious. Why now? Because I scared you. Because I finally fought back. Because I realized something yesterday, he said, pocketing his phone. When I thought you were dying, I did not think about all the annoying things you do or all the ways you supposedly seek attention. I thought about the time you drove 6 hours to help me move, when everyone else was busy. I thought about how you always remember my kids' birthdays even though I forget yours. I thought about the person you actually are, not the caricature we turned you into. His voice cracked slightly on that last sentence, and I realized with shock that Clayton was actually emotional. Real emotion, not performative guilt. I do not want to lose my sister, he continued. I do not want to be the kind of person who only appreciates someone when they are gone. So I am here, asking for a chance. One chance to prove that we can be better. I looked at him across my desk. This man who had tormented me as a child and dismissed me as an adult, and tried to find the brother I had once idolized. When I was 7 and he was 14, I thought Clayton was the coolest person alive. He could skateboard and play guitar, and always knew the right things to say. Somewhere along the way, that relationship had curdled into something toxic. But maybe, buried deep underneath, there was still something salvageable. One dinner, I heard myself say. Just you and me. No Victoria, no Patricia, no extended family. Just us. We talk. Really talk. And if I feel like you are being genuine, like you actually understand why what happened was so hurtful, then maybe we can talk about slowly rebuilding. Hope flashed across his face. Okay. Yes. When? Saturday night, 7 p.m. You pick the restaurant, somewhere nice, and you pay. This is your apology, not a casual hangout where we split the check. Done, he said immediately. I will text you the details. And Clayton? I waited until he met my eyes. If you screw this up, if you fall back into old patterns or make excuses or try to minimize what happened, that is it. I am done for good. No second chances, no guilt trips, no family obligations. Understood. Understood, he said solemnly. After he left, I sat at my desk for a long time, staring out at the Phoenix skyline. Part of me felt triumphant. I had stood my ground, set clear boundaries, and made Clayton come to me on my terms. But another part felt exhausted. Why did it take such an extreme action to get basic respect from my own family? Why did I have to traumatize them into seeing me as a human being? Tyler knocked on my doorframe again. "Your 2 p.m. is here. Also, are you okay? You look stressed." "Family stuff," I said, forcing a smile. "I am fine. Give me 2 minutes." I pulled out my compact mirror and checked my makeup, making sure there was no evidence of the emotional conversation I had just had. Then I straightened my blazer, grabbed my tablet with the presentation notes, and walked out to greet my 2 p.m. appointment with confidence and professionalism. Because this was who I was now. Not the family scapegoat, not the person desperately seeking approval, but a successful professional with boundaries and self-respect. And if my family could not accept that version of me, then they did not deserve any version of me at all. The rest of the week passed in a blur of work and deliberately ignoring my phone. I had turned off all notifications from family members, allowing only work contacts and close friends to reach me directly. It was liberating, honestly. Without the constant background noise of family drama, I could focus entirely on building my new marketing campaigns and establishing myself at Sunset Hospitality Group. By Friday afternoon, I had secured partnerships with 3 major travel influencers and negotiated a discounted rate with a prominent advertising agency. Kathleen called me into her office at 4 p.m. to congratulate me on the progress. "You have accomplished more in 2 weeks than my last marketing director did in 6 months," she said, genuine appreciation in her voice. "I hope you know how valuable you are to this company." Those words hit differently than they should have. Basic professional recognition should not have felt revolutionary. But after a lifetime of being devalued by my family, hearing that I was valuable nearly made me tear up. "Thank you," I managed. "That means a lot." "I am serious," Kathleen continued. "We are planning a major expansion next year, and I want you leading the marketing strategy for it. New properties in 3 states. It would mean a significant raise and a bigger team. Are you interested?" "Absolutely," I said without hesitation. "Good. We will discuss details next month, but I wanted you to know you are on my radar for bigger things. You have a real future here." I left her office feeling lighter than I had in years. A future. Not just survival or getting by, but an actual future with growth and opportunity and recognition. This was what I had been working toward my entire career. My phone buzzed with a text from Clayton as I packed up my desk for the weekend. "Reservations at the Orchard House tomorrow at 7. Looking forward to it." I stared at the message for a long moment before responding. "See you there." The Orchard House was one of Phoenix's nicest restaurants, known for its farm-to-table cuisine and intimate atmosphere. The fact that Clayton had chosen it, rather than some casual chain restaurant, suggested he was taking this seriously. Or at least understood the assignment. Saturday arrived with the kind of clear, warm weather that made people move to Arizona in the first place. I spent the morning hiking Camelback Mountain with Denise, who had become my sounding board for all things family-related. "Are you nervous?" she asked as we navigated the rocky trail. "Surprisingly, no," I admitted. "I think I have reached a point where I genuinely do not care what happens. If dinner goes well, great. If it does not, I have already made peace with cutting them off." "That is healthy," Denise said approvingly. "You are not going in desperate for their approval anymore. You are going in from a position of strength." "It only took 35 years," I said wryly. By 6:30 that evening, I was dressed in a simple black dress and heels, my hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. I looked professional and put together, which was intentional. I wanted Clayton to see me as the successful woman I had become, not the little sister he had always dismissed. I arrived at the Orchard House at exactly 7 p.m. Clayton was already there, seated at a corner table, wearing an actual suit. That surprised me. Clayton lived in casual clothes, claiming that his real estate development success meant he did not have to dress up for anyone. The fact that he had put on a suit for this dinner said something. He stood when I approached. "You look great." "Thank you," I said, sitting across from him. "Nice suit." "Thought the occasion called for it," he replied, sitting back down. "I ordered wine. Hope that is okay." "Wine is fine." We made small talk, while the server poured our drinks and took our orders. Weather, work, the usual safe topics. But I could see tension in Clayton's shoulders, the way he kept fidgeting with his napkin. He was nervous, which was unusual for him. After the server left, I decided to address it directly. "You look uncomfortable." "I am," he admitted. "I have been thinking all week about what to say, how to explain things, and I keep coming back to the same conclusion. There is no excuse. There is no explanation that makes it okay." "So do not make excuses," I said simply. "Just tell me the truth. Why did you all treat me that way?" He took a long sip of wine, clearly gathering his thoughts. "I think it started when you were a teenager. You were always so intense about everything, so emotional, so dramatic, in my opinion at the time. And I was this cool older brother who did not have time for teenage girl feelings. So I started dismissing you, making jokes at your expense. And then it became a habit." "And everyone else just joined in?" "Victoria did because she always followed my lead. She is 3 years younger than me, but always wanted my approval. So she copied my behavior. And then Patricia started doing it because she thought it was funny. And it just snowballed from there until the entire family treated you like the punchline to a joke nobody else found funny." "Except I was not a joke," I said quietly. "I was a real person being hurt by real cruelty." "I know that now," he said. "But at the time, I convinced myself you were too sensitive, that you needed to toughen up, that we were helping you develop a thicker skin. By systematically tearing me down? Like I said, there is no excuse." He met my eyes. "I was cruel. We all were. And the worst part is that it became so normalized that nobody questioned it anymore. Making fun of Bella was just what we did. It was tradition." The server arrived with our appetizers, interrupting the heavy conversation. We ate in silence for a few minutes, the weight of his admission hanging between us. "Can I tell you something?" Clayton said eventually. "Something I have never told anyone?" I nodded. "I have always been jealous of you." That shocked me. "Jealous? Of what?" "Of your resilience. Your ability to keep trying despite everything." He set down his fork. "Do you know what would have happened if our family treated me the way we treated you? I would have cut everyone off after the first year. I would have walked away and never looked back. But you kept showing up, kept trying, kept hoping we would change." "That is not resilience," I said bitterly. "That is desperation." "Maybe, but it is also strength, and I never gave you credit for that." The dinner continued with a level of honesty I had never experienced with Clayton before. He told me about his own struggles, the pressure he felt to be the successful older brother, the way he had used putting me down as a way to feel better about his own insecurities. It did not excuse his behavior, but it provided context I had never had. "When you got that marketing director job, my first thought was not that I was proud of you," he admitted over the main course. "My first thought was that you were making more money than I did at your age. And that made me feel threatened. So instead of congratulating you, I minimized it, made it seem less important than it was." "I noticed," I said. "At Mom's birthday dinner, when I mentioned the new job, you changed the subject within 30 seconds. Because I could not stand the idea of you succeeding," he said bluntly. "How messed up is that? My own sister achieved something great, and I felt threatened instead of happy." "Pretty messed up," I agreed. "But at least you recognize it now." "I do. And I want to change. Not just for you, but for myself. Because being that person, the one who tears down his own family to feel better, is exhausting. It has made me bitter and small. I studied him across the table, searching for signs of manipulation or performative guilt. But all I saw was genuine remorse and a man who seemed tired of being the villain in his own story. "I forgive you," I said quietly, surprising myself with the words. "Not because what you did was okay, and not because I am ready to jump back into family dinners and holiday celebrations, but because holding on to this anger is not serving me anymore. I forgive you so I can move forward with my life, whether that includes you or not." Relief flooded his face. "Thank you. That is more than I deserve." "Probably," I agreed. "But here is the thing, Clayton. Forgiveness does not mean everything goes back to normal. It means I am releasing the resentment, but you still have to earn back my trust. You still have to prove through consistent action that this is not just temporary guilt." "I understand. What do you need from me?" "Accountability," I said immediately. "If you see Victoria or Patricia or anyone else making jokes at my expense, you call it out. You do not laugh along or stay silent. You actively defend me." "Done." "And honesty. If you are feeling threatened or jealous or competitive, you tell me directly instead of channeling it into cruelty. We talk about it like adults." "Done." "And boundaries. If I say I need space, or that something is off limits, you respect that without questioning or guilt-tripping." "Done," he said again. "Anything else?" "Time," I said. "This does not get fixed in one dinner. This will take months, maybe years, of consistent behavior before I fully trust you again. You need to be okay with that." "I am okay with that," he assured me. "I am in this for the long haul, Bella, however long it takes." We finished dinner with lighter conversation, talking about his kids and my new responsibilities at work. By the time dessert arrived, something had shifted between us. Not back to what we were before, because that relationship had been toxic, but forward into something new, something tentatively hopeful. As we walked out to the parking lot, Clayton stopped me. "Can I ask you something? The hospital thing. How did you pull that off?" I smiled slightly. "I have a friend who used to work in healthcare. She made the call." "It was convincing," he admitted. "Terrifying, actually. Those 40 minutes at the hospital were the worst of my life." "Good," I said without sympathy. "You needed to feel that. You all did." "You are right. We did." He paused. "Are you going to tell everyone it was staged? Or let them keep thinking it was real?" "I have not decided yet," I said honestly. "Part of me wants them to know so they understand I am not a victim. But another part thinks the lesson lands better if they believe it was real." "Victoria figured it out," he said. "She called around to other hospitals after we left, and when none of them had any record of an accident involving your name, she put it together. She is furious, by the way. Of course she is, because now she has to confront the fact that she wished death on me and meant it enough that she believed it happened. Are you going to talk to her?" "Eventually, but not until she is ready to have the same conversation we just had. Not until she is ready to take real accountability, instead of just being angry that I outsmarted her." Clayton laughed at that. "You did outsmart all of us. I will give you that." We said goodbye in the parking lot, and for the first time in as long as I could remember, the hug he gave me felt genuine. Not performative or obligatory, but real. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Not because everything was fixed, because it was not, but because I had proven to myself that I could stand up for myself and survive. That I could demand better treatment and walk away if I did not get it. That I was worth fighting for, even if I had to be the one doing the fighting. Sunday morning brought an unexpected visitor to my apartment. I was still in my pajamas, drinking coffee and reading the news, when my building's doorman called up. "Someone here to see you. Says her name is Victoria." I almost told him to send her away, but curiosity won out. Send her up. Victoria appeared at my door 3 minutes later, looking exhausted. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, dressed in yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt. This was not the polished, put-together sister I was used to seeing. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside, letting her enter. She walked straight to my living room and sat on the couch, wrapping her arms around herself. "Clayton told me about your dinner," Victoria said without preamble. "Okay," I said neutrally, sitting in the armchair across from her. And I have been up all night thinking about it, about everything." Victoria looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "I have been a terrible sister." "Yes," I agreed. "You have." She flinched but did not argue. "I owe you an apology. A real one, not the half-hearted sorry I gave you on the phone at the hospital." "I am listening." Victoria took a shaky breath. "When I said it would be nice if there was an accident and you never showed up, I did not mean it. Not literally. I was just being mean because making fun of you was easy and made everyone laugh. But when I got that call from the hospital, when I thought you were actually dying, I realized something horrible." She paused, tears starting to fall. "For those 40 minutes when I thought you were in critical condition, all I could think about was how I would have to live with the fact that my last words about you were wishing you dead. How I would have to explain to my kids that their aunt was gone, and the last thing I said about her was cruel and petty. And then you found out it was staged," I prompted. "And then I found out it was staged, and my first reaction was anger. Because being angry was easier than facing the guilt. Easier than admitting that even though the accident was not real, my cruelty was." She wiped at her tears. "I called around to other hospitals because I wanted proof that you were lying. I wanted ammunition to use against you. And when I confirmed there was no accident, I felt vindicated. See, I told myself. She is manipulative and dramatic, just like we always said." "But," I prompted. "But then I spent all yesterday and last night actually thinking about why you did it, about what it must have felt like to arrive early at a family barbecue, excited to share good news, and instead overhear your entire family laughing about your potential death. And I felt sick, Bella. Physically sick." She leaned forward, her voice breaking. "I do not like who I am when it comes to you. I do not like the person I have become. And I do not know how to fix it. But I want to try. If you will let me." I sat with that for a long moment. "Why did you do it? Why did you treat me that way for so long?" "Honestly, because Clayton did, and I always wanted to be like Clayton. He was the cool older brother, and if making fun of you earned his approval, then that is what I did. And then it became habit." She shook her head. "I never stopped to think about how it affected you. It was never just joking around to me," I said quietly. "It was constant, relentless criticism. It was being made to feel small and worthless. I know that now, and I am so sorry." "Here is what I do not understand," I said. "You have a good life, Victoria. Why did you need to put me down to feel good about yourself?" She was quiet for a long time. "I think because you were always so confident. Even when we tore you down, you kept trying, kept showing up. And that made me feel inadequate. So instead of admiring that, I resented it. So you tried to break me," I finished. "Yes," she whispered, "and I almost succeeded, did I not?" "You almost did," I admitted. "But words are easy. Behavior is what matters. And I have seen no evidence yet that anyone's behavior is actually going to change." "What can I do?" Victoria asked desperately. "Accountability. If you hear Patricia or anyone else making jokes at my expense, you shut it down. You defend me instead of piling on. Done. And no more comparing my life to yours. No more comments about my dating life or career choices or anything else that is none of your business. Done. And I need time, Victoria. I need to see sustained change before I can fully trust you again." She stood, wiping the last of her tears. I understand, and I will prove it to you, however long it takes. After she left, I called Denise. You are not going to believe who just showed up at my apartment. I filled her in on the entire conversation. Denise listened, then said, Do you believe her? I think I do, I admitted. But I also know people can be sincere in the moment and then slide back into old patterns. So I am cautiously optimistic. That is healthy, Denise said. Cautiously optimistic is exactly where you should be. The following weeks brought changes. Clayton started texting me regularly about normal life stuff, funny memes, articles he thought I would find interesting, updates about his kids. It was the kind of casual sibling communication I had always wanted. Victoria was true to her word. She actively defended me in family conversations, shut down negative comments, and made efforts to include me genuinely rather than obligatorily. Patricia, predictably, remained resistant. She maintained that I had overreacted, but the rest of the family was moving forward without her, and she found herself increasingly isolated when she made critical comments that nobody laughed at anymore. The real test came at Thanksgiving. Patricia was hosting, and I was invited. Clayton called personally to extend the invitation, making it clear I was welcome but not obligated. If you come, I promise to shut down any negativity immediately, he said. And if you do not come, I completely understand. I went, but I arrived with an escape plan, parked where I could leave easily, and told Denise to call me with a fake emergency if needed. The first hour was awkward. Patricia greeted me coolly but politely. But Clayton and Victoria flanked me protectively, steering conversations away from dangerous topics. When Patricia made a snide comment about my vegetarian dish, Victoria immediately said, Actually, I love it. Can you send me the recipe, Bella? When an uncle started to joke about my single status, Clayton cut him off with, Bella's personal life is her business. By dinner, I had relaxed enough to actually enjoy myself. For the first time in years, I felt like I was actually part of the family rather than an outsider. After Thanksgiving, Clayton pulled me aside. Thank you for coming. I know it was not easy. It was not as hard as I thought it would be, I admitted. You and Victoria did a good job. We meant it when we said we would protect you. You are our sister. We should have been doing this all along. As I drove home that night, I reflected on the journey of the past 2 months, from overhearing those cruel words, to orchestrating the fake hospital emergency, to slowly rebuilding relationships. It had been messy and painful, but also necessary. I had learned that I could not force people to change, but I could control my own boundaries. I had learned that forgiveness did not mean accepting bad behavior, but releasing resentment while protecting myself. I had learned that sometimes the only way to get people to see you was to show them what losing you would feel like. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, Patricia finally reached out. Not with an apology, but with an invitation to coffee. I accepted, curious to see what she wanted. We met at a cafe near her house. For the first hour, she talked about everything except what had happened. The weather, her garden, her neighbor's new dog. Finally, I said, Why did you invite me here, Patricia? She set down her coffee cup carefully. Because everyone keeps telling me I owe you an apology, and I have been too stubborn to admit they are right. She paused. But they are right. I was cruel to you at that barbecue and for years before that. And when you called us out on it, I got defensive. I am sorry, Bella. Truly sorry. It was not the most eloquent apology, but it was genuine. I could see in her eyes that it had cost her something to admit she had been wrong. Thank you, I said simply. I appreciate that. We did not become close after that conversation, but the hostility dissipated. Patricia treated me with basic respect, which was all I had ever really wanted. The months that followed brought continued growth. Clayton and Victoria maintained their efforts, proving through consistent action that their apologies were genuine. They included me in family events without making it feel obligatory. They defended me when others made careless comments. They asked about my life with genuine interest rather than judgment. I continued to thrive at Sunset Hospitality Group. The promotion Kathleen had mentioned became official in January, along with a significant raise and expanded responsibilities. I built a team that respected my leadership and a professional reputation I was proud of. I maintained careful boundaries with my family, attending some gatherings and skipping others based on my own needs rather than obligation. I built a life that felt authentic and fulfilling, surrounded by people who appreciated me. When I looked back on that day at the barbecue, overhearing their cruelty, I realized it had been a turning point. It had given me permission to stop begging for scraps of affection and to instead demand the respect I deserved. The fake hospital call had been extreme, perhaps even cruel in its own way, but it had accomplished what years of honest communication never could. It forced my family to feel genuine fear about losing me, to confront what my absence would actually mean, and to recognize that their treatment of me had real consequences. Patricia faced her own reckoning as family members, emboldened by my stand, started calling out her critical behavior toward everyone. She found herself increasingly isolated at gatherings, her sharp comments met with uncomfortable silence instead of laughter. Within months, she had become noticeably softer, more careful with her words, finally understanding that cruelty no longer earned her social currency. Victoria threw herself into being a better sister, and found that the communication skills she developed improved her marriage and friendships as well. Clayton lost a major client who had witnessed how he spoke about family and decided they did not want to work with someone who lacked basic integrity in personal relationships. The financial hit was significant enough to make him reevaluate every relationship in his life. The entire family dynamic shifted permanently, with people thinking twice before making cruel jokes, knowing I had proven I would not tolerate mistreatment and that others might follow my lead in demanding better. As for me, I built a life I was proud of, one where I was valued and respected. I learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is show people what losing you looks like, and that standing up for yourself is not selfish but necessary. Sometimes revenge is not about destruction, but about reconstruction, about tearing down toxic patterns and rebuilding something healthier in their place, even if it means shocking people into awareness first. Looking back on my revenge journey, I realized the greatest victory was not in making them suffer, but in finally freeing myself from the need for their approval and discovering that my worth had never depended on their validation in the first place.